Hey everybody, a few minutes late. I'm just jumping on here. Today I want to answer a dilemma that many times we have as Christians who are bringing the kingdom, and that is, what do you do when someone does not get healed that you're praying for? It's incredibly disappointing, discouraging, and even disillusioning when you've really fought hard for someone to be healed and they're not. So there's three things I find that really helps me. Number one is to grieve the loss. Just be honest about your anger, your frustration, your pain, your disappointment. Just tell God about it. There are two ways to approach healing. One is, plan A would be just to simply say, God's will be done, and that's a much easier path to take. Having peace is much easier because you leave it all in His hands from the very beginning, and then whatever happens, happens. The unfortunate part of that is I don't see that as biblical. There's only two places you see in the New Testament where it says your will be done. One is when Jesus is in Gethsemane and he's asking his Father, is another way to save the world besides going to the cross. The only other place you see that is when James is saying, hey, don't be so arrogant to make your 5-year plan and think, that's the way it's going to pan out. After you make your plan for the future, say, the Lord's will be done, if it be the Lord's will. That has to do with your life's activities. But to extrapolate that into healing, salvation, and deliverance is, I believe, erroneous. And it can look like humility, but really it's based in fear, doubt, unbelief, and the desire to avoid disappointment. That's why a lot of people choose plan A, because you avoid disappointment. Like if you had a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, Jesus is on level 10. That is, He showed what it looked like when He brought the kingdom. He healed everybody. Then there's our experience, and that is somewhere down below the 10 mark, if you know what I mean. And so the gap between your experience and Jesus's expression of the kingdom is your degree of disappointment. And so the second way to approach healing is to fight for it, contending for the kingdom, just giving it your all. And we're to contend for the kingdom. Don't give the devil anything that he doesn't have to fight for. And that's who we are. And now that approach is disconcerting, because when it doesn't happen, you've invested so much more prayer, so much more faith, so much more energy. You've invested your soul into it, so your disappointment is going to be a lot higher. So what do you do with that? Be honest about it. Well, what's the second thing you do? Well, the first one is to grieve the loss. The second one is to ask the Lord if you did everything in your power. If you believe you did, then just leave it into God's hands. Say, okay, I did my part. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, so now it's in your hands. If you're questioning whether you did everything you should have done or could have done, ask God. There are things in the Bible that make it very plain in the New Testament about why some people don't get healed. Some of it's unbelief. Jesus is very plain about that. Sin, disobedience. Maybe God has something better, or they just simply didn't ask at all. And then there is a very important category that you must have in your theological box when something doesn't happen, and that is, I don't know. Don't feel obligated to answer every unanswered prayer. Really important not to be overly insensitive and assume you know the answers when you don't. Just say, I don't know. And then what do you do next? The third thing, pray for the next person. You see, if you stop praying, then the devil gets away with murder. He has no one to contend against the works that he wants to do in the earth. And he's mean, and he likes to hurt people. And so the church is here as the standard against him. If you don't pray anymore because you're so discouraged about unanswered prayer, nobody's going to get saved, nobody's going to get healed, nobody's going to get delivered. So you got to just keep swinging that bat. The Bible says very clearly that this is the reason the Son of God was manifested. 1 John chapter 3:8, to destroy the works of the devil. Then in John 20, when Jesus was done with His ministry, He then said to us, as the Father sent me, I send you. So, grieve the loss, ask God if there's anything you could have done differently, let it go, and then pray for the next person. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.